There's a big difference between health and risk. Two different ballparks. Risk is all about the target and what's going to be impacted if the tree or parts of that tree were to fail. And if you have a known defect, such as that decay, you have to manage accordingly. Risk assessment and a public interface is a little bit different than your proper tree care and your longfulness to get preservation. We're looking at risk only, and that was our objective here at the park. We also looked at general health, but our long-term goal was to mitigate and eradicate any risk. That takes into consideration the main objective, what is targets. So targets are anything that's could be impacted if the tree or parts of the tree were to fail. We have movable targets, which are benches. They can be moved. The township can move that bench and no longer that target exists. Here we have a static, non-movable target, which is the building. This can't be moved. It's occupied. We're in the evening now. There's a bunch of people sitting inside here. If this walnut were to fail, it could fail and strike people here. Our other target around this walnut tree is your tot lot. Any given time during the months of March, April, May, all the way to November, you're gonna see a lot of activity. Moms, husbands, everybody's out there watching their kids. Kids are on swings. The parents are talking along the edge. They might be sitting on that bench. So that target gets increased in terms of quantitative value. People think just because the tree's dead or a hazard, well, if it's not gonna impact anything, the tree is no longer a risk. So a lot of people condemn trees without really looking to what the target is. So let's go over to this walnut tree and look at it. We have a really broad, beautiful black walnut tree. Has great structure, great canopy, very healthy. However, during our risk assessment, we noticed we had severe decay at the root base and within the trunk system of this tree. And the decay actually runs just about to here. So from the root system up to about here, there's internal decay. Down at the base, there was once a structural root that came off here. We drilled down into there and found that the actual root system is totally decayed. There's only about, and you can see that it's spreading over to this root flare as well. So the entire root system below the actual stem itself is decayed. So this tree was noted as risk related. And then when we insert the actual targets, which are your building, tot lot, benches, infrastructure, this tree increased in risk. If this was a tall poplar or a hackberry, we could do mitigation pruning, which we could reduce the canopy dramatically to take the sail out or the drag per se, and reduce wind flow, which would then cause this tree to fail. Unfortunately, that type of pruning cannot be done on a walnut, so unfortunately this tree was rated through the process as high risk. And this is going to get replaced twofold. This would be the ideal spot for a larger 5-inch caliper tree and band the mulch ring out to keep mowers, keep people off of it, and then align the benches. Your compaction levels here were very high. We like them to be around 225 PSI. Here they were like 480 in some cases. So the compaction, and that is a typical person with one step provides 25 PSI. So every day somebody's walking here, mowers, that just compacts until you have a hard pan. Let's keep going. So we have this subject oak. So we talked a little bit about targets. So somebody tell me, what are the targets here that you see? The road corridor, and where are the dead branches hanging over? Right over the northbound side of traffic along Germantown Pike. This tree's not being removed, it's only being pruned for right now. And we have dead wood up to 7 inches in diameter over there. And again, we're looking at things that are going to hurt someone or some property. So this tree would be a high level prune, which would be removing just the large dead wood 2 inches or greater over top of the target. What do we see as a target right here, everybody? Path? Absolutely. What else do you see? We see a bench in shade, and then look above. We have a 8-inch diameter dead leader coming off that one tree that most certainly, if it were to fail, is going to strike that bench area and kill somebody. So this tree is obviously right over a path. Everybody is utilizing that parking lot to get up to this plateau that we're on. Benches in my world are a no-no unless you have the right tree. So white oaks are great to have benches because they're more resistant to failures. Packberry is a great tree. This one has a lot of compaction, and now this tree is a risk. Tot lot, kids, you got branches that are dead, and the tree is in severe decline. I mean, this has progressed. When we did our inspection, it's probably progressed another 25% since our initial review.
So is this one coming down?
It's coming down, yeah. So you want to mix in some native soil and, you know, mulch this tree with aged wood chips. I'm a big fan of aged wood chips compared to these dyed mulches that everybody uses. And you keep people off the tree, you reduce the compaction. You can even put geotextile fabric underneath the actual mulch, and that helps distribute weight. There's a lot of good things, but compaction killed this tree. Too late, yeah. In today's world, you're not gonna get those 39-inch black walnuts anymore because of the change of climate, different things that are happening, budget cuts, things like that. If we would have seen that tree 10 years ago where that decay spot was, I would have said at that time, let's get 2 trees planted around that, the dominant tree wins. So when it's time to remove that black walnut, based on longevity and the risk associated with that decay, we would have had an established tree, which lessens the pain. I think this is one of your most heavily used parks. It was about 85 degrees the one day, and I think there was, I mean, we were here from 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night doing our study, and I think we counted over 200 people in and out. We try to capture everybody, and that really increases your target rating. We have a row of pines over there that have been impacted through the utility vegetation pruning. Their roots were cut at one time when they were installing that wall. And you can see the trees are starting to get very sparse, thin, and we did find a lot of decay in a lot of those pines up there. And that pine alley there was meant to provide screening for the adjacent residents from the township park. However, the screening abatement has been diminished, obviously, because the lower limbs are dying off. So we have some willows that are down there that have some big dead branches, and a couple of them are in really bad shape, but they got a free pass because, again, the target's not there. There's no benches down there. There's a path to the backside, and we have smaller trees along there. Native, great tree. However, if we're looking at the structure of this tree, we see that it had a previous failure. This tree, if you look very closely, you'll see the top of the tree on this side is a little bit thinner than the top on the other side. Any problems associated with the top of the tree are 90% related to the rooting structure. Decay went up the tree. This could have been a mechanical wound. It could have been a backhoe when it was putting in the stormwater management. It could have been a kid broke a branch off. Could have been numerous different things. The decay is still prevalent all the way up, and you can see where it failed at the top there, because it was a co-dominant branching structure. So this tree has all the tribulations for condemning this tree to avoid any future failures. Almost every black locust that's mature, you're gonna find some of these fruiting bodies from the decay. However, this tree does have a lot of other defects. It has inclusion, okay? We did find a pocket of decay when we drilled through on this area. And we do have severe inclusion here, which goes down to about here. So if we were to pull this apart, you'll find that it's only air in between there. Oh, no. Yeah, but it's not coming down yet, not yet, no. Some of this area is man-made. You know, there was some dozer work, some cut and fill here. It's inevitable with any construction activity that you're gonna impact trees, and tree protection fence is great, But you know, a lot of trees grow past the drip zone of those trees, okay? And it's all species dependent. These trees were left to remain in the landscape, but at that time there wasn't a mindset of tree protection zones, okay?
So the overgrading would mean?
Overgrading or the cut and fill. So they put soil on top of the root system, and in some cases, they cut away to get a slope. So cut and fill, cut and fill. You see that a lot of time in terminology of our ordinances and stuff like that throughout, you know, the state. And that's what that means, that cut and fill process. Landscape architects are not foresters or field arborists. And I'm not downgrading architects. Very good at what they do. They only know how to look at pretty pictures. And you need to educate them on, maybe you move the house or turn the driveway and there's no interference with the root system of this tree. They try to move and grade around it to the umpth degree just to try to preserve that tree, and it's not enough. That's our biggest challenges with the registered consulting arborists. We're always saying, stop hiring architects, hire arborists, because we can pick the right species, diversity, and your preservation factor and make life easy. So when you go in front of the TAMs of the world, they're not beating you up. They're not beating you up. You go in with a clean plan. Seriously, that's the world. I'm just saying they don't know biomechanics and they don't know physiology, which then results in failures that we're seeing. So you see, we have paint on that tree. This entire root system is totally decayed underneath. And this tree has a lean. And what are our targets? Cars, your entryway into the park. People always say to me, oh, my tree's leaning. Well, 90% of the time your tree's fine. It's leaning because of phototropism, growing towards the light. The taxpayers want to see money going towards new trees. It's a mindset. I'm the opposite. I want to see preservation because you're not going to get these big trees back. So why not try to preserve and do a partial kitty? Kitty goes towards planting, towards maintenance, but you got to pick out the right tree to preserve and keep up with it, inventory it, progress reports. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's hard for municipalities to manage that because they're managing infrastructure, trash, everything under the sun for a township, and it's hard to say, you know, step back and let's look at the trees. The typical Park and Island tree lasts 25 years. It has everything against it. Most of the time, there's a hard pan surface over top of it, which is your macadam or concrete, and restricted root growth because of the base of that macadam that was put in. You have trees that are getting radiation all day long, that heat stretching the tree out. 99% of the time, there's not ample water to manage that tree. And the biggest thing is there's not enough root surface to obtain and catch water. What I like to see in areas like these is extend them out, cancel out 3 parking spots, do a nice radial trenching, put in a little bit of a catch swale to help maintain, and put a tree in that is very tolerant of an urban heat zone. This tree was planted improperly, very common. And these little pods have seeds in them that are developing, and people like them because when they're totally mature, the little pods, they look like little lanterns. Back in the day, florists were going around and stealing the lanterns off people's trees because they were using them in floral displays, you know, as decorations and stuff.
I see.
This tree was inserted into our infrastructure because cities wanted a bulletproof tree, a tree that could take, you know, a Mack truck hitting it, salt, you know, compaction, and this is a tree that is tough as nails and has great color. It was the optimal tree for a city. It does help with the honeybees. The honeybees do love this tree heavily. You go down the city in some older districts where you have a mature canopy, you're gonna see a lot of these guys hanging out. So are they invasive to Miles Park? Absolutely not. Are they downstream invasive? Absolutely. So that's it in a nutshell. That concludes our little walk. Thanks.